Hello and welcome to ATI 4448. We're going to continue in chapter 3, talking about the work breakdown structure. We stopped at the different representation or methods to structure the work breakdown structure. And now we are going to learn on how to use software packages, different software packages to create the work breakdown structure. First, we're going to use Visio to create the work breakdown structure, Visio 2007, and assuming that you install the software, we need to download the work breakdown structure modular from Microsoft and install it as an add-in for Visio software. To do that, use this link and download the add-in, then install it on your machine. I will start working on the Visio to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So I'll exit this screen, and everything that I will talk about, or every step that I will show you, it's documented in the PowerPoint presentation, so you can go over these steps when you download the PowerPoint presentation, just to make sure that you can do it by yourself. Let's open the software. So I'm going to open the Visio software. And that's Visio 2007. As you can see here, I installed the work breakdown structure modular. So when you click on it, actually it's ready for you. Then if you double click on the modular, you will get the screen that will show you the project. This is the project, and then you can add the elements of the project under that one. When I say the elements, I'm talking about the tasks, activities, sub-activities, and work packages. So let's start adding, and the way that I'm going to add it, I'm going to add main processes or main activities, and then I will add the subtask as I go. Right click on the project and add new. I will name the first one as initiation, and that's the first process in the project. Actually, before that, let me name the project, and let's call it construction project. Construction project. This is just an example for you to know how it's been done. And then for under construction as a main project, I will start adding processes. So the first process will be the initiation process. As you can see here, once you are done with entering the information in the outlined or the list here, you will see that the graph is showing what you actually typing in the list. So let's keep on going by adding more processes, and I will add the planning process, and then we'll add the execution or executing process, then we will add the monitoring and controlling, then we will add closing. So now we have the main 5 processes in our project, the construction project: the initiation, the planning, the executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. As you saw me doing it, I used to right click on the project and select new to add any of these processes. The same thing can be done for the subtasks or the sub activities, which is by right click on the process and then adding the activity that I would like to use. So let's select the initiation process, and for the initiation I will add new, and then I will add subtask, and the subtask for the initiation will be conduct project selection. I can add another one, and this is just for the purpose of display. So we are going to conduct product or service feasibility study. Again, for the planning, I'm just adding few of them. I will not add all, just to show you how this works, but you should be able to do it yourself. And I will upload actually the Visio file. I will upload for you the Excel sheet that has these processes and sub-processes to work on it, or to play with it, play with the software, and train yourself on how to work this out. So we are going to add for the planning another activity, which is identify project team members. Another activity that will be added for the planning is to create work breakdown structure. Then for the execution, and I'm just adding 2 for each. So for the execution, I will add manage resource allocation. Oops. I will add another one, and that will be the execution of all tasks Then for monitoring and control, we will have the measurements, or we need to measure the project performance. and then verify and manage changes. For closing, formalize and obtain final acceptance from the client or the management. Then identify and document lessons learned. So if we look at the chart, you can see by looking at the chart that it's been numbered, and we have the main tasks or main processes and subtasks or activities under each process, all that connected to the construction project. And this is a work breakdown structure that can be done easily using Visio. Now, other people can do it in any other software, which is fine, but that's why we have software such as Visio or Microsoft Project that will assist in developing such models faster. Because I can use Word document, and when I use Word document, I can just insert insert shapes, and I can use this one and start inserting shapes, and then I can copy, paste, and then just rearrange these processes. I can go back to the page layout and make sure that I have it landscape so it will fit more, then paste a couple more of these shapes. This will be one of the main processes, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then I have the main process. So by adding text to these shapes, I can write this one as construction, and then initiation, planning, execution or executing, monitoring and control, and closing. And then I can connect these shapes. I can create a connection between these shapes as needed, or maybe something like this, so I can actually connect and so on, you know. So you can make this shape, but again, you know, using Visio is more professional than just using a Word document and adding all these, and it can be faster and more efficient in the creation than the Word document. But you know, I'm giving you the choices on how to create it. Visio can be provided for you for free from the department, so please use Visio to create your work breakdown structure, and you can use also Microsoft Project. So I will save this one as an example, and it will be uploaded for you. So this is ATI 4448 work breakdown structure example, and that will be uploaded to you to review when you need. Okay, let's close Visio, and the next step actually will be to this is the final product. You know, here I did more few more items that I added for you to look at. And again, I will upload for you an Excel sheet that has all these items, so you can do it in Visio as a practice. Now, how can we do that in Microsoft Project? To create a work breakdown structure in Microsoft Project, let's open a Microsoft Project 2007. And check the different toolbars at the top. Some of the options that you have at the top, it's like file, edit, view, insert, which is the same. That's available in every Microsoft software package. Most of the tools can be recognized from those software packages. And it can do the same job. The project tab is an addition that you will see in Microsoft Project that's different than the other software packages. In the project tab, you can go to project information and add or insert some of the information for the project, such as the start date, the finish date, and the work calendar, if you would like them to work shift night, or night shift, or to work weekends. So you can actually change the calendar to make it extended to night shifts and weekends. This is the Microsoft screen, and in the Microsoft screen, Microsoft project screen, you will see the Gantt chart view that has two split screens, the left side for task information and the right side for the schedule diagram, and that's called the Gantt chart. So this is what you are going to see in project, and I'm going to open the Microsoft project package so we can go through also the creation of work breakdown structure in Microsoft project. So I'm going to close this. And open the Microsoft project software package. Like I said, we have on the left hand side here the task information, and on the right side we have the schedule diagram. Let's start entering the information. In the task information area, and you will see how it will create automatically in the diagram area the Gantt chart associated with the project. Again, we'll name it construction. And we will add the main processes, the initiation, the planning, the execution, monitoring and control, and closing. As we were creating these tasks, on the left hand side the diagram being created, you can see that the duration is here in days, and we can change that. We can change it to weeks if we want. We can change it to month. It depends on the setup that we need for the duration. This is changeable and can be set up in the project information. Another thing that we notice here, that we have the question mark. That means it's not defined, so we need to define the duration, and that's the default, which is 1 day is the default that being provided by the system. But you need actually to estimate the duration for each activity and add it to the task information here. As you change the information, you notice that the length will change in the diagram area. The other thing that we need to know, that the construction is the main project, and those processes are within the main project. So to make it show as within, we can highlight these 4 or 5 processes and then indent to the right, Once you do that, then they are part of the main project. As you can see here, you have the minus sign. That means the construction project is open and it has these kind of processes. If I press on the negative sign, it will be plus sign. That means it will allow me to expand for the tasks later on. So I can just click on the plus sign and I have the main processes or main tasks within this project. Whatever I change within this, these main processes, it will reflect on the main project. So for the planning, I can change it to maybe 2 days, 3 days. I can change to 2 days. For the execution, actually the execution will have more, so I will change it into 10 days. Monitoring and control for 8 days, and then the closing in 2 days. And this is just an example to show you how these processes can have different duration based on the different activities or sub-activities within each process, and based on the project execution. The diagram on the right hand side will reflect the task information on the left hand side. You can see the start day and the finish day over here. The start date here being defined by today or by the next working day, since the next working day will be 21st, then you will see that finish day is Friday, March, and so on, because we did give 10 days of this construction or project construction. The next example or next thing that we are going to do is to select all these. We can select all these processes and just press on the task information and then change the duration into just 5 days, and that will make them all 5 days. So if we have some kind of common information between all the tasks, then we can just highlight all tasks and go to the information sheet and change the information in that sheet. I'll go back with having 3 days, 10 days, 8 days, and 2 days. One of the columns, one of the most important columns associated with the task information is the predecessors, which is the definition, or the I need to identify the predecessor for each activity. What comes before each activity? So the initiation process is the first one. I have to initiate the project. I can start the planning from day one, so I can make it, start after 2. Maybe I will do it even before that. Also, I can make the execution start with 2, because once I start the planning, I can start the execution, and the monitoring and control also will be 2. While I will not be able to close until I'm done with all project information, so maybe it will be after I'm done with the execution of the project. And again, the predecessor depends on the sequence of information or sequence of execution for the activities that will be defined by either the experts or the team members or the project manager, but the sequence should be known and should be entered as you can see here. So now we have the main processes, the duration, start date, finish date, and the predecessor for each activity, and we have the diagram, the Gantt chart on the right hand side. I can add now more information or more tasks as subtask of the main processes. To do that, we are going to select the number of new tasks that will be added for each process, and I can just highlight, right click, and say new task. Since I highlighted 5 of them, it will add new 5 task information areas. and then I will start adding the information. Just to make it easy for me, I will copy paste it from the Excel sheet. And I have 5 different tests. Now remember, these tests are subtasks from the initiation process or the initiation task. So what can be done here is highlight these activities and indent to the right, and now they are subtasks from the main initiation process. It seems that I lost the planning. I can add new task and add the planning here. For the subtasks, I can make all these subtasks the same length. Now we can make it like 3 days. Now remember that the planning is a main process, it's not a sub-process of the initiation or not a subtask. So I can indent to the left and move it outward. The planning will be after the initiation, so it will be after number 8. Or I can start the planning from the beginning of the product, the initiation of the product, and I will make it after number 4, for example, and that will move it to this area. Again, for the planning, I can just copy some of the subtasks that is included under the planning. So I can say new task and see how many did I add here, and then I can paste, and I have all these subtasks as part of the planning. I will highlight all of them and then to the right to be a subtask from the planning process. Then the extra ones I can highlight, right click and delete tasks, and it's being deleted. For the duration, I can add the duration based on the expert information or the expert opinion, or based on the different techniques and calculations that we will learn in chapter 4 on how to estimate the time duration for each activity. So we can use different techniques to assist in that, and these techniques will define the number of activities, the duration for each activity. Then we can connect these activities by just going over the sequence, which one will come after the other, and could these activities be done on parallel or not. And again, this is a matter of opinion from the expert or the project manager. They can decide whether they can do that on parallel or do it separate. can do the same for the execution, monitoring, and closing, and add all these activities to show the task information and the diagram for the project. The diagram will assist on, just by looking at the diagram, you will know the date that the project was started or will start, and the project end date. So that's why we are planning, and we are adding all this information in a work breakdown structure that can identify the starting date, the finish date, the different activities, and the sequence of activities within the project. Now, one of the other important things that we need to learn after learning about entering the tasks, subtasks, adding the duration, and the predecessor is to see how we can make this as an outlined work breakdown structure. This one is for information, this column is for information, so I can just right click and hide that column. I don't need it anymore, but I can add, insert another column, insert column, and then field name, the first one, in the box that is shown here. This dialog box, which is called column definition, includes a list of the different columns that can be added to the project, and one of them is the work breakdown structure. So if you scroll down all the way down to the W, then you can select the work breakdown structure and say okay, and this is just to align the title in the center, align the data. You can make it in the center or to the right. You can select the width and other information. So just click OK, and you will see that the work breakdown structure being created. It's outlined the project construction as number 1, the different processes as 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, and the sub activities. It depends on the main task, under which task they are, and as you can see here, it's 1.1.1. that means it's under the initiation process, and it's in a sequence. If you added a new task, maybe it's out of order. So maybe if you add a new task here and say a new task, which will be under the initiation process, and it's called testing. This is just for the purpose of showing how that works. Just we'll add the word testing. You can see how it corrects the outline, and it shows the proper number for that one. And then if you delete, again it will recorrect that outline for you. If it was not corrected, if the work breakdown structure was not corrected and you need to correct it manually, then you can go to project, work breakdown structure, and renumber, and it will renumber it for you. Now to do that, you need to define the code that I want it to be based on numbers. So you can select the sequence to be numbers, and then it will do it for you. But most of the time it will be automatic, and it will be added like that and corrected as you do the changes in the outline. To give you an idea on how it's going to work or how it's going to look like at the end, I can show you a final product for that. And this is an example of how it's been defined. It will show the initiation, it will show the planning, the execution, I have tasks, subtasks, and work packages. So we have from conducting project selection, we have the conduct of product and service feasibility that's related to project selection and so on. So we can give some examples on what need to be done as a subtask of the tasks, which is part of the main processes or main activities. That will be all for this session, which included the Visio demo, included the Microsoft project demo. The two examples will be uploaded on the Florida Online, in addition to the Excel sheet, so you can play with that, look at the two examples and use that to practice and develop your own feeling for the software packages. That will be all. Thank you.